2, 3.
There's a delay. It'll come up.
Is it loud? Yeah.
Did it sound loud enough? Testing. 1, 2, 3. Did it pick you up back there?
Yeah, it does.
Like, did it hear you?
What?
Like, can you hear yourself when you're like,
Yeah, fix me.
is it loud enough? Because I can make it lower.
It's a lot harder hearing me than like hearing you.
I'll make it a little. I don't know.
Well, why don't I go over this and let's get it on over
Testing. 1, 2, 3. Sounds good? There's a nice Subaru out there. It's white. I think it's an Impreza. It's the hatchback version. Does that all sound good?
my needs this evening.
Okay.
Okay, we can actually start the meeting. So I guess we can let
Make sure you-
everyone else in. Oops, I'm not, yeah, I'm going to leave myself muted
Okay.
here since I'm on here.
Okay.
So we need
Just
to
make sure you speak into the microphone
Yep.
so that they can hear.
Okay, so we need to let everyone else in.
They're in.
They're in, okay. Hello, everyone. So I'm going to call to order the Highland Park Board of Education regular public hybrid meeting, Monday, October 11th, 2021, 6:30 at the middle school. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of the public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. And with that, I'm going to kill my microphone, which I won't. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, the Highland Park Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting, setting forth the time, date, and location to be submitted for publication to the Home News Tribune and Star Ledger and posted on the board's website at least 48 hours in advance of this meeting. Members of the public who wish to address the board will be given the opportunity to do so before the board adjourns for the evening. Linda, could we have a roll call, please?
Well, hold on one second.
Oops.
Darcy's joining us right now.
I'm having trouble getting on Zoom.
Okay.
Is she here?
Just give an FYI, I'm not sure if Mark knows his video is off. I don't know if that's intentional or not. I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah, it was intentional.
Okay.
Ms. Simorosty?
Here.
Ms. Coleman?
Here.
Ms. Gowan?
Here.
Mr. Krieger?
Here.
Mr. Magaziner? Ms. McFadden DiNicola?
Here.
Ms. Prus? Mr. Rizlevich? Mr. Woodward?
Here.
Okay. And Marilyn will be joining us shortly, I think. Okay, so we're going to recess to executive session. Be resolved pursuant to the Sunshine Act, NJSA 10-4-12 and 13. The Highland Park Board of Education will now meet in closed session to discuss discipline. These exemptions are permitted to be discussed in closed session in accordance with NJSA 10-4-13. Information regarding the board's closed session discussion will be disclosed to the public as soon as the need for confidentiality no longer exists. Can I have a second to go into executive? I move that. Can we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's go to executive session. allegiance. We all stand or not and say the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we have 7 communications. We have approval of the September 13th High Republic meeting. So I'd like to move with that we approve the minutes. Can I get a second, and then we'll discuss them?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion from any board members?
No.
This is roll call, Linda?
Sorry, trying to remember this here. Have any of the board members arrived since?
Marilyn Pruitt is here.
Marilyn
Ms.
here.
Bruce, what time did you arrive, please?
I arrived at 7:05.
Thank you.
Huge mosquito, sorry.
And is Mr. Maslevich and Mr. Who else? Mr.
Woodward.
Magaziner out for the night?
Correct.
Okay,
No,
thank you.
he's not here, is he?
They're out for the night?
Yes, they're for the night.
Okay, thank you.
As far as I know.
It's hard to tell who's here and who's not. Mr. Moresti?
Yes?
Ms. Coleman? Please mute yourselves. Ms. Gowan?
Oh, yes, here,
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Ms. McFadden DiNicola?
Yes, here.
We're asking for a yes or no vote.
Yes, sorry.
Ms. Pruse?
Yes.
Mr. Woodward?
Yes, but the audio has gotten significantly worse. I don't know if there's anything you can do about it.
I didn't catch it. I didn't catch that.
I think it's his connection, isn't very good.
yeah.
It's hard with the masks, too. It's hard to understand
Very
people,
difficult.
including myself.
Okay, so it is time now for the student representative report. And Anna, I see you're here alone this evening.
Yeah, I don't think Milo knew the meeting was at 7. He's on his way here, so
Oh,
I'll just
okay.
give my part of the report first.
Fantastic, thank you.
All right, so I did Bartle in the middle school. There's been nothing new really since last week. Bartle is still doing well. One thing that they've done this year in terms of social emotional learning is working on vertical articulation about how they can use common language for the skills they learn in Bartle to continue into the middle school. And then the middle school is also still doing well. One new thing for the month of October is that during their flex periods, which is a study period for students, they will allow students to meet with teachers if they need additional help with things that they learned in class. And by doing this, they're also teaching students how to email teachers to schedule appointments with them. And then Milo reported on the high school. He's not here, but one thing that is going on is the girls' senior night is tonight for soccer, and the boys' senior night is on Wednesday for soccer.
Thank you, and have fun tonight.
Yeah, it's great. I saw there was a soccer game going on outside before.
Yes, it's the girls' senior night right now, so
Oh, okay,
it should
great.
be fun.
go and join them.
Oh, go join them, please.
Thank you.
Okay, then let us go on to the superintendent's report.
Hi, thank you. Oopsies.
Oh, terrific.
Just give me 1 second to set up my navigating this approach here. Here we go. Okay. Darcy, can you just give me a thumbs up if you see my screen? Okay, thank you. Okay. All right, let's see if I can figure this out here. Okay. No. All right, there we go. No? Okay. So tonight I wanted to give a couple of updates on our safe opening plan. So every 60 days, the New Jersey Department of Education wants me to provide an update on our plan to see if things have changed. So there are 3 major items that I want to make note. Tomorrow on the website will be a change to our plan. The first one is the staff vaccination mandate, which was in my previous presentation, so I won't take up any time tonight talking about it, but that will be seen highlighted. So if you when you open the safe opening plan, either the one that was emailed out or again the same one that will be posted on the website tomorrow morning, anything highlighted in yellow are our updates to our plan. So obviously the vaccine mandate, which we started last week for staff. The other two components that are updates to our safe opening plan, one is we've updated the contact tracing in combination with isolation and quarantine. We've added an additional component to that part of the plan, and in addition, an athletic vaccination mandate, which I'll discuss both of those items tonight. So before I talk about those two items, I just want to report that the New Jersey COVID dashboard is reporting 71% of students or children ages 12 to 17 in Highland Park have been fully inoculated. So that is good news in terms of the percentage of our students ages 12 to 17 in the district or in the community. So with that being said, an update to the contact tracing in combination with isolation and quarantine. We have, thank you to a donation, rapid antigen test that'll be available upon request with the school's, actually it's the nurse's office, not the main office, but the school's nurse's office, to any student that's been exposed to COVID-19 within the school district to provide peace of mind. So essentially what that means is if a child has been exposed in the school district and a parent is interested as a support for their families, they can pick up a rapid antigen test from the nurse's office. The nurses will be putting the packets together. The information and the stuff came in pieces, so we kind of have to box them up and put them in bags, and they didn't give one set of instructions for each kit. It was one for a big box, so we have to make some photocopies and put them together, so that's why we'll be working on those shortly to provide them. The rapid antigen test is not in lieu of quarantine, but in an additional support to families. So they can pick it up and take it, but they cannot submit a negative rapid antigen test in lieu of quarantine. Shortly, once we put those packets together, the note that would go home to parents of potential school exposure would have that language in there. Right now it does not, because the kits are not ready to go, and I didn't want to overwhelm the nurses just yet. So they're working on putting the kits together. Once the kits are together, we'll update our, all 4 buildings, our letters home for potential exposures. In addition, an update to our safe opening plan is a vaccination requirement for indoor high-risk athletics and extracurricular activities. So currently right now, we are going to have, tomorrow morning, the letter will officially go out to families, but student athletes participating in the following high-risk indoor sports that involve close contact with other students and unmasked will be required to show proof of vaccination to the school nurse by November 15th, 2021, or be subjected to once-weekly COVID-19 testing. And for the Highland Park Public School District, that involves basketball, indoor track, and wrestling. The weekly testing will begin the following week on November 18th, 2021. The test must be a PCR test, and results should be submitted to the school nurse or to the coach or coaches. And then as of November 15th and until further notice, refusal to submit vaccination records or refusing to get tested for student athletes in those 3 sports. The athletes that don't show proof of vaccination or refuse to get tested will not be able to participate in basketball, indoor track, or wrestling. If an unvaccinated athlete has a violation, either the first or second violation to a failure to submit their test results, they will be benched essentially or removed from practice or games for a week. And unvaccinated athletes for a third violation of failure to submit test results will be removed from the team altogether. And then in addition, we are currently in discussions regarding mandates for other athletic and extracurricular activities. The central leadership team, the leadership team, and Mr. Gervin are all working collaboratively to hash out the details. There's a lot of variables involved in making these particular decisions, and some legal information as well. So we're sifting through all of that information to make important decisions that hopefully will come next month. And lastly, all tests, we have some free PCR tests, so I just want to give a shout out to the Highland Park Community Center, our Borough Community Center, which is on 220 South 6th Avenue. They have free PCR testing for any staff or students on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 9 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. and Sundays 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And if you go to testnj.online is the registration, or they take walk-ins for our student athletes. For the parents, they just have to sign consent one time for students or children under the age of 18, and then the student athletes can go regularly without additional consent each time. So the company says that they can just give consent one time, and then they can go get their frequent testing if need be without additional consent. So that is all for my presentation. Thank you.
Christina, thank you. Any comments from board members? Any board members online with any questions or comments? Darcy?
Hi, thanks. I was struggling to raise my little young virtual hand.
I can
So I guess, Christina, that means that we weren't able to make the testing work on Tuesdays and Thursdays in district, or is that something we're still looking to be able to do, or is that kind of just been put on the back burner since we just didn't have the numbers to support it?
So with the Ridgewood Laboratories, the company that I brought in, we just weren't able to make the numbers happen. So unfortunately, our agreement with them is no longer valid. So that's why I'm promoting the Burroughs Center for the free COVID testing. The state, I did change from, that's option 2 from the New Jersey Department of Health in terms of districts providing COVID testing. I opted us into option 1, which is the state gives us a company. So we just had a call with Miramis as the company on Friday. They're pushing out their resources, but we're at the state mercy in terms of when Miramis, the company, will give us the tests, the information. They don't come on site, it's pooled testing. So what they do is they give you the tests, and then I'm not really sure because they didn't explain it yet. Tomorrow's another meeting with them on how we get them the tests, and then pool testing essentially is, from what I gather on the call, is they take a whole bunch of tests from around the county, let's say, so us and a couple other districts, and they take all of the tests and put them together, and they run them a quick test all together, and if the entire batch is negative in terms of results, then all those people are negative. If the batch is run and there's a positive test, then they isolate each sample and run each sample to find out who was the positive test in the group. So it's a way to try to do the testing in a quicker turnaround time through pool testing to do it. So I guess with the anticipation of the high rates of vaccinations, most people hopefully would test negative, I guess. That's the idea behind it. So it's pooled testing. The details are still forthcoming. Districts that selected option 1, we're just waiting on them to give us more information, the details, the tests, and everything else, and that would be paid for by the state. So in the meantime, it's trying to find a local testing area.
I look forward to hearing more about that. That sounds really interesting. Thank you.
Thanks, Darcy. And thank you, Christina. Any other board members with any questions or comments? Monique?
Yes, Monique. I just had a quick question about extracurriculars. I know you're discussing that now. I'm assuming that's going to include social activities that may not necessarily be attached with a particular club or sport, correct? Like, let's say there's a school-wide social, party, dance party, some other sort of event that involves just the student community and not, obviously outside persons, like an competitive athletic event. Would those be considered under the extracurricular activity vaccine requirement?
Yeah, that was all put in place last year by my predecessors. So for example, prom, there was a proof of vaccination or proof of a negative PCR COVID-19 test, and that all still applies. So our upcoming homecoming dance, that gathering and those requirements are still in place. So students attending the homecoming dance have to show proof of vaccination or a negative COVID test within 72 hours of the event.
Thank you.
Great. Anyone else? Okay, so seeing no other board members, I'm going to go to public comment. The Highland Park Board of Education welcomes public participation and has reserved this time for your comments. Board policies 164 and 167 establish and regulate the right of the public to participate in public meetings. I'm going to read the extended part since almost everyone is on remote. During this meeting, we ask that all members of the public mute themselves unless they are speaking during this public comment period. If necessary, we may mute you ourselves. You may leave your video off or on at your option. If we experience bandwidth problems and believe that limiting video could help, we may turn video off. We have at least one opportunity for public comment. If at that time you wish to speak, please raise your blue virtual hand in Zoom and wait for me to call on you. I think it may not be blue anymore, it may be yellow now with Zoom updates. If you cannot raise your virtual hand, or if I miss your virtual hand, please turn on your video camera and raise your real hand. New Jersey law requires us to inform you that commenters must behave appropriately in Highland Park. This means no screaming obscenities or inappropriate video displays. In the event of a speaker's inappropriate behavior, they will be muted. So I guess it's time. Public could please raise your hands. I actually can see the screen, so I brought the appropriate computer today. There's going to be the first public speaking period, because we have a lot of business to do, will be 3 minutes, up to 10 speakers. That gives the public half hour. After we go through our business, before adjournment, there'll be a more open public speaking period. So any speaker, please raise your hand now.
Would you like the first one?
Yeah, I don't see, I don't have it open.
It's okay, I got you.
Thank you.
Amanda Potter.
So Amanda, could you please give your address as well?
Good evening, everyone. Amanda Potter, 222 Wayne Street. I am the parent of a Bartle second grader, and I have been volunteering in Bartle to assist with lunch 1 day a week for the past 3 weeks. 4 weeks I was unable to attend today. Normally I've been there on Mondays. I wanted to continue to urge the district to rapidly adopt outdoor lunch while the opportunity exists before the weather gets bad. I have to say I've been pleased in some ways about how lunch has been managed, but have some other concerns. The first day I was there, the windows were open. The other 2 days, the windows have not been open. So just a simple fix to improve ventilation is what I think be an important and extremely achievable change. I also have to say I don't believe that the table placement is quite as distanced as it could be. It seems like there's some kind of concentration, and I just think maybe a reconsideration of some of that would be helpful, especially for our younger kids who we are so desperately, some of us, waiting for our children to be eligible for vaccination. It feels like we are so close to this finish line and are just really don't want to trip across. So I'd really like the district and the board's support in helping us get through these next few weeks. So that is my primary comment. I know that there have been cases at Bartle just this week, and so just wanted to re-elevate that concern. Thank you.
Amanda, thank you. I wanted to say that in the agenda is the purchase of a bunch of outdoor tables, and we have managed to find some paraprofessionals for lunch, and we are having negotiations with our HPEA, our union, to make that even easier, find more paraprofessionals, as well as to have other alternatives. I think the only issue right now for us, if I'm correct, is the food services company doesn't have enough staff and can't find them, and we're trying to figure out how to work around that, so as soon as the tables come, we can start using them. So there's definitely an attempt. The tables have been on back order since beginning, middle of the summer and aren't appearing. Apparently it's getting slightly better, so we hope we can get something in sooner than later. So again, thank you.
Can I make a quick comment?
Sure, of course.
Just many thanks, Amanda, for volunteering. First off, that's fantastic. We really appreciate it. And Christina, is there a policy, a cross-building policy about keeping windows open? Is that something that's, there's a coherent policy that is?
I wrote it down. We'll have to talk to Mr. O'Donnell, our head of maintenance and facilities, because sometimes it becomes an issue with our HVAC.
Oh, I see.
To have it on, and then we get issues with condensation and mold or mildew and moisture and issues. So I would have to talk to him in terms of the issue with the HVAC system, because there are times when we do actually want them to keep the windows closed because of that. But I can look into him and look into it and ask him during what times of year we're allowed to have them open and when we shouldn't.
I remember this from last year, trying to get ventilation in there. I mean, would it make sense to have windows open and the problem was having the AC on and the windows open at the same time, right? I mean, is there a possibility of turning the AC off during lunch period? I'll let you follow up on this later.
It's not as simple like a home HVAC where you can just turn it on and off like that. It's really more complicated.
I see.
Because it's a commercial grade system.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I take notes and I'll follow up to see if there's some possibilities there.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, next speaker. Do we have a next speaker?
I don't see anybody with their hand. Oh, yes, Dr. Rob Scott.
Hello, I'm Rob Scott at 25 South 2nd Avenue in Highland Park. I guess I wanted to say, I want to emphasize that I'm happy to hear that you all seem to be making some progress on moving towards vaccination and testing and outdoor lunch. And I just want to emphasize that the time really, really does matter. There were positive cases in Barlow I've heard about. It sounds like there is transmission within the school happening. And so what I just wanted to emphasize is that this is a public health matter, right? It's not just a matter for the students in the school, right? It's also a matter for those students' families, right? And the people at home. And I think that sometimes the discussion on this loses sight of that, right? And so when we talk about vaccination mandates or getting a large percentage of the school vaccinated, that is not just about protecting the students, right? In fact, it might not even be primarily about that. It's about protecting the entire community. So I'm glad that there's going to be a vaccine mandate for 3 high-risk indoor sports. I just have to say, November 15th, that is like an entire geologic era in COVID time. It would be better if these mandates were implemented right away. I guess that's when those sports start, perhaps. I'm so glad to hear that you're actually discussing other extracurricular activities. That needs to happen, right? And those things are going on now. The sooner they happen, the better. I'm glad you're going to make available rapid testing, and I hope that as that's made available, there is sufficient communication, right, to people that this is a public health matter. So I'm not sure if I like just calling it for peace of mind, right? Because part of the reason to do that testing, right, is so you're not bringing the virus into the school, right? So we do have breakthrough cases. There are reasons for folks who were close contacts who were vaccinated to test. So my daughter was a close contact. We got 2 letters. We did the rapid tests. And every day when she went to school for 7 days, she only went to school if there was a negative test, right? So it's not done just for us and for our peace of mind, but for the entire community. And I think that's a really, really, really important message It needs to get out there, and it also needs to be what you all are thinking about as you're making policy. So faster, yesterday, and really, emphasis on messaging to the whole community. We also have 5+, vaccine's going to be approved. I'm hoping to hear that there are going to be massive efforts to seize the bully pulpit and let people know this is a good thing to do, that it's safe and effective, and it's a way to make our whole community safer. Thank you.
Rob, thank you. And there will be massive efforts. And we are meeting with the central leadership team, which includes the Highland Park Education Association.
Mark, you want to get closer to your mic.
I'm sorry.
Get as close to your mic as you can.
Yep, difficult with the mask on. I have a serious mask, unfortunately. So I was saying that we are meeting with the central leadership team, which is comprised of the members, leadership of the union, the leadership of the district, and the board. And we will be discussing the test mandate. So on to the next speaker, please. So I do not see another speaker, so please raise your hand if you want to speak. Okay, so seeing no other speakers, we're going to go into the board action item. Yes?
Mark, can I just ask Christina a quick question?
Of course.
Just, Christina, if you could, I'd like you to address the assumption that Rob made that there is in-school transmission. We haven't been told that there is any kind of in-school transmission. I don't know that you've deduced based on the contract tracing that you've been doing in the district that there's been any in-school transmission. So I was hoping you could just address that so that's not just kind of hanging out there.
Oh, recently, yes, in Bartle.
Okay.
Just this past week.
This past week?
Correct.
In-school transmission, that's confirmed?
Yes, confirmed. The others so far have been out of district, brought into the district.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Christina. And I will try to speak up. It's difficult, as I said, with the mask. So
yeah, I think it's just the closer you are to the mic. If you're close to the mic, you're fine.
Okay, great. So curriculum and instruction, Michelle, do you have a report?
Yes, I'm just going to read through it really quickly because it's the same as last week. So item number 1 on the agenda is the approval of field trip requests as they're attached. Number 2 is the approval of the revised curriculum for the 2021-22 school year, and that includes math, science, music, visual arts, Mandarin 4, and ESL in the high school. The committee got together on September 28th at 4 p.m. and we discussed those items and also the MOA Lifeline Suicide Prevention and Response Program. This program is currently under review and was brought to us by Elizabeth Asamoah of the Teen Center. It will be of no cost to us, but will require that we include their suicide prevention curriculum in our schools. More info to come as the review process is complete. So this is just a preliminary step in the process. Number 3 are the pictures that we were presented from the high school basin and garden work that students and staff are using as part of the student-centered instruction, learning about natural environments. And during the meeting, we talked about the Jersey Fresh website that has materials available for educators, lesson plans, etc., that might be useful in this basin and garden program. More to come as the program and the year progress. Next, we discussed including more primary sources for faculty to pull from in their lesson planning and classwork. And the last item was the policy that we reviewed, 5460.02, the Bridge Year Pilot Program, which is mandatory. And Dr. Nkosia does recommend that we vote for this, as is since it is mandatory. And the committee did review it and agreed. And that concludes my report.
Michelle, thank you. Board members, anyone have questions or comments?
Nope.
Looking for hands. Okay, I don't see any, so I'm going to go on to the finance, which I'm going to present. So we have a few new items in finance. Oh, did I miss it? Damn, sorry, Monique, I'm sorry. I missed the equity and excellence. My brain is so used to finance being next. I think Monique had to leave to give a paper tonight.
She left for the night.
Did she ask anyone else to present her report?
No.
Okay. So I think maybe we can put her report off till the next meeting.
Okay.
Let's do that.
Yeah, there were no items to vote on, so.
There weren't, and the report just came in right before the meeting. Apologies. So in finance, number 5 has 2 new items. One of them is substitute nurse services for school and after school, which has proven to be extraordinarily difficult. So we're trying to work with interim healthcare to find those folks. And then we have a physician who will be doing neurological evaluations, Dr. Millerod. Under number 6, we have 2 new students who will be doing, who will be spending bedside instruction, one at Rutgers Health and one at Union County Educational Services Commission. And that's numbers G and H in number 6. Item 14 and 14 is the purchase of tables from School Outfitters of Cincinnati, Ohio, at a cost of $64,775.63. They'll be distributed around the schools. We'll use CARES ESSER 2 grant funding, and this is a co-op contract with the Educational Services Commission of New Jersey, so the pricing is superior to what it might be otherwise. 15 is the acceptance of the donation that we discussed from the rapid COVID antigen tests for Highland Park schools. I want to thank Dr. Scott and his colleagues who raised this money. This will be used as well as some money that the school district has found and has been able to find tests. So we'll be using this and again, extra money, other money, to buy rapid COVID-19 testing for students in the district to be tested. And that is the Finance Committee report. Any board members have comments or questions? Okay, I don't see any. So let us go on to personnel.
Okay, personnel. So since this is a voting meeting and we had a workshop last week, you all have heard most of these. I'll go over the new ones that are new tonight. They are in bold on the agenda. So number 1 is our approval of source for teacher substitutes, which we do on a regular basis. And let's see, number 4, I'm recommending, Dr. Nicosia is recommending that we approve medical leave for an employee. Number 8, Dr. Nicosia is recommending that we accept a resignation for a Schedule B position. Number 14, we have a new after-school program staff person proposed for approval. Number 15, we have a new proposed lunch aid para. Thank you very much, Ms. James. We need those lunch aid paras. Excuse me. Number 23, extra hours for a para at Irving. Thank you, Ms. Hammond. Approval, number 24, approval of change of start date for a para at the middle school. We have a new assistant girls basketball coach at number 26. Number 28, we've approved a number of lunch volunteers. Thank you to all of our lunch volunteers. We really appreciate it. This is just wonderful. It makes a huge difference. Thank you. And now we have, let's see, My computer is breaking down. Number 29, staff approval for professional development preparation hours. Dr. Nicosia is recommending 2 new approvals for Ms. Stevenson and Sam Perez. One more second. Number 38, approval of stipend for substitute toileting for an employee. And we have one read-in item that's not on the agenda that I'm going to read in that Dr. Nicosia is recommending. That's number 39, approval of leave replacement special education teacher at Bartle Elementary School. And we are very glad to have a leave replacement hired. That's good news. I move that the Board of Education accept the recommendation of the superintendent to approve Tiffany Gallo, leave replacement special education teacher for the Bartle Elementary School, step 10, master's degree, $68,683, effective on or before October 15th, 2021, pending a criminal history background check. And that's all I have.
Could you read in 32, please?
Oh, did I not read 32?
Thank you. It's okay.
You could look at mine.
Oh, I missed it. Thank you. Number 32 is also new. It's the approval of a volunteer coach for the high school wrestling team effective October 12th, 2021. It looks like Mr. Lewis Middleton. Thank you, sir. And that concludes my report.
Okay, do any board members have any questions or comments on this? And I want to add my thanks as well to the volunteers. It's really helping us. I also want to say that it's really miraculous. I'm in touch with the other presidents of the Middlesex County school districts. No one has been able to find a single paraprofessional, and lunch paraprofessional especially, and have had difficulty even finding volunteers to help. So this is fantastic that our district is able to do this. Thank you, Christina. And I think that this will make a difference in people's lives to make this happen. I also want to say that I think the number of staff positions that are open is very low, and if you look, or non-existent, and if you look in the newspaper at what some other districts are doing in trying to hire, the list goes on and on and on. They're desperately trying to find staff. We have managed to keep staff. I think part of that is that the relationship we have with the HPEA, both the administration and the board, has been very, very good. And I think the morale of our teaching staff is very, very good. So I think we've been able to keep people where other districts have not. So I don't want to be too self-congratulatory, but being in the buildings, and which I've been, and seeing what is going on is very, very positive. So I think things are doing very well. So with that, anyone else with comments or questions? Okay. So we're going to go on then to the Policy Committee. Dorsey, would you like to review the new policies?
I don't have anything new. We went over everything last week, other than to say that I tempted fate at the last meeting by saying that we would get to the August policy alert, and then on Thursday an email came in that there's another policy alert. So you know.
It felt like we practically didn't get home from the meeting, and the policy alert was there.
I know. So I will get through those August ones as quickly as possible, and then we'll move to those October ones. So that's all I've got.
Okay. Any questions or comments from any board members? No. Okay. So with that, let's go on to number 13, board action items. Michelle, could you move the curriculum items, please?
Yes, I would like to move items 1 and 2 under curriculum and instruction.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Could we have the roll call, please, Linda?
Ms. Simoresti?
Yes.
Ms. Coleman is left.
She's had to recuse herself.
Ms. Gowan?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Ms. McFadden DiNicola?
Yes.
Ms. Bruce?
Yes.
Mr. Woodward?
Yes.
Thank you, Chris. I know it's difficult. Chris is on the train. So thank you for being here. Really, I appreciate it so much that you managed to do this. Amtrak, go Amtrak. Okay, with that, I'm going to move the finance items, which are 1 through, I'm still using paper, I can't do 2 things at once. 1 through 15. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you.
Here for almost 3 weeks, so.
Whoops. Whoops.
I got her.
Oh,
I got her.
Okay.
I got her.
All right. Again, any questions or comments from the board? If not, so Linda, could we have a roll call, please?
Ms. Simorusti?
Yes?
Ms. Gowan?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Ms. McFadden De Nicola?
Yes.
Ms. Prus?
Yes.
Mr. Woodward?
Yes.
Great. So on to personnel. Ann.
Thank you. Yes, I'd like to move items 1 through 39, including number 32.
I second.
Okay.
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 I seconded it,
Yes.
Linda.
Ms. Simorusti?
Yes?
Ms. Gowan?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Ms. McFadden De Nicola?
Yes.
Ms. Prus?
Yes.
Mr. Woodward?
Yes.
Okay, and then Darcy, could you move the policy items?
I could. I'd like to move items 1A through H and item 2A through J.
Could we have a second, please?
Second?
Linda, could we have a roll call?
Okay. Second. Ms. Simorusti?
Yes?
Ms. Gowan?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Ms. McFadden De Nicola?
Yes.
Ms. Prus?
Yes.
Mr. Woodward?
Yes.
Okay, so that wraps up our voting section. Board liaison reports. I have a very brief report from the Middlesex County School Boards Association group. We had a fantastic presentation by our very own attorney, Jonathan Bush, on the roles and duties of school boards, and it was very, very well received, and it was more than basic. There's some people there with even more experience than I have on school boards, and I found it interesting, and it's very good to get together with this group because you get lots of good insights and good questions, and we did that meeting hybrid. So I was home, and some of them were at a restaurant that they all seem to know, I think in South Brunswick, perhaps.
Pierre's. Yeah.
Pierre's. I couldn't think of the name.
Yep.
So, and I need 2 more of these meetings to become a certified school board member. So I probably will attend 2 more. Yes, as my wife said, I should be certified. But it is actually fun, and the meeting was really wonderful. Anybody else who's gone to any liaison committees that is on the board? No? Anyone remote? Any of the board members remote who have been? Okay, so in that case, I will go on. And so, of course, many of these groups are not meeting. I think the library may have had a meeting. And as you all know, the library was destroyed by water coming down, and now they're doing mold elimination, remediation, fixing the walls. Thankfully, books were not destroyed for the most part, but it's a major job. The library does not own the building, so the roofer who came in to do it, which is not that the borough did anything wrong, but the borough had a roofer come in to fix previous leaks. They obviously didn't do a complete job, so that's going to be fixed as well. That's a sad situation for the community. I have no president's report. Does anyone have old business? Does anyone have new business? Okay, so we're back on to public comment. And I'll read in just a short statement. The Highland Park Board of Education welcomes public participation and has reserved this time for your comments. Board policies 164 and 167 establish and regulate the right of the public to participate in public meetings. I will not time this. I would just hope that folks would respect the late hour and us being out. And it's not that late, in fact, but please keep the comments as brief as possible. And look forward to hearing from the public. So please raise your hand if you have something to share with us. Amanda.
I just wanted to ask a follow-up question about when we expect the tables will be arriving.
That's a very good question, and it is worth answering. Do we have any idea?
I have no idea. Did the PO go out already? Do we know for the tables?
The PO couldn't go out until the board approved it.
Okay, so the PO will go out tomorrow. And they're about 60 days plus after that happens. So in about, hopefully less, but depending on shipping.
It's been more than 60 days over the summer and later. In fact, from the Middlesex County organization that I went to and the president's group, which I've attended, there is, and Christina's meetings with the other superintendents, there are no districts in the county of Middlesex, New Jersey, which have tents for their students to have lunch. And there is one district now only that has tables. If we can get the tables before it's too cold, we will use them. And I'm very hopeful we can do that. And if we had ordered earlier, it probably, unfortunately, because of all of the backups in the supply chain, probably would not have made a difference. In addition, the real point is to have tables outside and to have tables outside come the spring if we're still in this situation, which is looking better, but is still, I mean, the numbers continue to go down, especially in Highland Park and in Middlesex County, but, and in New Jersey, but we could enter the spring in the same but better situation, and then we will be completely prepared to be running lunches outside. And hopefully by then, Amanda and you and other parents of younger children will have them vaccinated. And again, at rates like or better than what we're seeing now as more and more people sign on. That's our fervent hope. So again, thank you. Any other, there are 3 hands up, I see. Jen Voorhees, please give us your address as well.
Hi there, Jen Voorhees, 300 Donaldson Street. I'm just wondering if we're dependent on those tables to move the kids outside, or if it's just staffing. Because I had suggested, the kids are perfectly happy to sit on the grass, they could bring in yoga mats, or, sit on any of the steps around the building, or if we're dependent on the tables to get them out there.
May I?
Yes, please.
So depending on the school, but for our elementary schools, it's dependent on the staffing. We are able to successfully get the middle school students every day, Miss Luxa and Miss Sukow, Miss Brady, and even our supervisory team, Miss Saka, Miss Baldazzo, Ms. Rodriguez, help out and pitch in where necessary to try to provide more hands on deck for the middle school to eat outside, but for Bartle and Irving, it's definitely dependent on more staff.
Right, and we are approving some new staff today. We do have volunteers. We are meeting with the Highland Park Education Association to try to work out some details where we can use other staff who are not paraprofessionals to help for a stipend, and hopefully we can work something out on those terms, or perhaps some way to hire more paraprofessionals by looking at the pay scale, where we're talking about that at least. I don't want to say more, but if we can get the staff, we'll do it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Jen. Sharon Rubin, please name and address.
Hi, this is Steve Rubin, actually, Sharon's husband, 66 South Adelaide Avenue, Highland Park. I was just wondering if there's still any possibility. I had spoken to Dr. Nicosia. Is there any possibility possibility of getting the tables from the park, the benches, like the picnic tables, because there's dozens of them just being stored there. And really, like, every day counts. So to hear that it's going to be at least another 60 days, which means not until next March, because it'll be too cold by the time they come, is there any chance of getting the tables sooner?
Hi, Mr. Rubin. Yes, we reached out to the county. Those are county tables. We have not heard back, and we reached out to Mr. Polis, too, to see if he could pull some strings and get us some of those tables to, to lift them up and bring them over here. But so far, we haven't heard anything back. But my secretary is on it like white on rice.
Thank you, Christina. And thank you for your idea, Mr. Rubin. Mike Nalepa, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, please.
Very good, actually.
Okay. And your address?
27 North 7th Avenue. I have a middle schooler and a 5th grader at Bartle, and I wanted to, I asked last week about the bathroom situation at the middle school, and my daughter, who's an 8th grader, tells me that it's pretty much the same. There's students are allowed to use the bathroom on the first floor that is locked. They're allowed to use that if they go downstairs during class, which for the 8th graders who are all on the 3rd floor takes a lot of time out of the schedule. And it's also significantly limited in the students' access to the bathroom, which seems very unfair, and it just feels very wrong to be limiting a normal bodily function. And I feel like this is, again, falling especially hard on females who are going through puberty. I think that, again, I understand the reasoning behind closing the bathrooms after the vandalism, but it doesn't seem like there is a plan in place moving forward to fix this, and I don't think the solution is depriving, a couple hundred kids of the ability to have normal bodily functions throughout the school day. And so I would again urge the board to look into this and try to figure out a solution with Ms. Brady at the middle school that makes sense and is fair to all of the students, the 99% of students who didn't vandalize the bathroom. Instead of punishing them for the actions of one very careless student.
Thank you.
Are you prepared to give an update? I thought this situation had been resolved.
That is my understanding. I haven't heard any issues with students not being able to get to bathrooms in a timely manner. I do know that we also put it out to the HPEA as part of our discussions coming up to discuss possible duties, more bathroom duties, so that there won't be any issues at the middle school. But to my understanding, the issues have sort of resolved themselves. But I wrote it down, and I'll definitely follow up with Ms. Brady to see if there's still some concerns that we can address them.
Yeah, I thought that there was no longer just the one bathroom that was available to students. I mean, I know there was a nurse's bathroom for emergencies, and there was one first floor bathroom. And I mean, this father, his impression seems to be that is still the case.
Not to my understanding, but again, I'll reach out to Ms. Brady and just get some clarification.
Okay.
And I want to just add, we take your comments very seriously. This is and the board feels the same way. This is an administrative responsibility, but it certainly was not used as punishment. It was used initially because of two reasons. For one, the bathroom was destroyed. It wasn't just vandalized a little. It was destroyed. Many, many thousands of dollars of damage and unusable. And then there were at least rumors, or more than rumors, that this was going to happen again. So the administration had to take it very seriously, and I would say with board support, to make sure it didn't happen and make sure the bathrooms were fixed. But Dr. Nicosia will be looking into this view, sir, and hopefully they were, in fact, open to the students.
I hope that's true, because I'm sure that if students are feeling like, they can't go, or there's too many people, they're going to ask, they're not going to necessarily report that to Ms. Brady. Thinking back to my own junior high school days, I would want to know that there are multiple bathrooms available. I understand that, what happened was really terrible, and the board does take that very seriously, and it was thousands of dollars. However, kids have to go to the bathroom, and I'm very uncomfortable. Hopefully this is one scenario that happened one time, and in general, there are multiple bathrooms open throughout the day. But Dr. Nicosia will find out for us. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Rob Scott, you have your hand up.
Yeah, so I just wanted to address first the issue of public participation in the meetings. There's no live YouTube of the meeting this time, and I'm assuming that's intentional and that's not a mistake, right?
Correct.
Okay, so one of the issues is the public really wasn't informed of that, right? So there was an email that went out saying that the meeting time was earlier, right? And then it did say to join the meeting by going to the Zoom, but the title was just that it was here earlier. So I know that there are members of the public who were not here for the first part of the meeting, right? And there were people who tried to go to the YouTube and were like, it's not there. So I just wanted to emphasize that it's really, really important that be communicated. And I just also wanted to say that keeping the Zoom is incredibly important. If there's anything good that came out of the pandemic, it's the fact that the bar for public participation in meetings has been lowered, right? So that it's easier to get in the meeting. And lots of people come to these meetings, right? Like, I'm a loudmouth, I come and I talk, right? I'm annoying, I'm a pest. But there are lots of people who I see them in the meeting time after time, and they don't necessarily comment, but they are informed by being in the meeting. So it's just really important to do that. And I think, and I just want to say that now at this meeting, I finally feel like it's like the glacier is starting to thaw in terms of us actually getting some action on the public health crisis that we're in. And this is in part a result because there has been public comment and there has been public pressure, which started way back on August 23rd. So we are finally getting news that there is going to be at least a partial 2-week, not enough, vaccine mandate for indoor sports, and that's a good thing, and thank you. And I'm so thrilled to hear that you're still actually considering the extracurriculars, and that's a good thing, right? And I'm glad I'm really pleased with the administration, and I want to give Dr. Nicosia credit for, in a week, managing to source rapid tests for folks. That's good. It's good that those are going to be available. I just want to emphasize, though, that the third thing that people in the public have been pushing for is this issue of outdoor lunch. And if we go back to there being in-school spread in Bartle, which we know has happened, the likely place that happened was at the lunch table, right? That's when folks take off their masks. They have to in order to eat. So there is just this element of like, it's really, really urgent to try and do the outdoor lunch as soon as possible. If the tables aren't going to arrive right away, and if the county won't loan them, maybe there's another place that we can get tables loaned. Maybe it's just like try a pilot thing with loader tables on a Friday or something and see what can be done. And really, I'm positive that the folks in the union would be very, very amenable with you guys saying like, come on, we got to do this right away, right? Because it's everybody's health that's at stake. So I just want to keep emphasizing the need for you all to move quickly and speedily, and to continue to communicate with the public. I also have a couple of questions. One, it's my fault. I missed what the percentage of high school and middle school students now was that had turned in their vaccinations. And my other question was if Dr. Nicosia could explain what is going on with the dashboard, because if you look at the dashboard, the data entries are not consistent with like data I know just as a recipient of close contact letters, right? So for the period when my daughter got 2 close contact letters, presumably 2 COVID positives, the dashboard lists only a single COVID positive at the high school. And then it lists that there were only a total of 4 close contacts. And pretty much from comparing notes with other parents, I know there were many, many more close contact letters that went out. So it seems that perhaps building by building, there is some operational difference in what's happening with close contacts that are being reported. So I was wondering if you could address that.
Well, before we answer any questions, I'd like to comment about the will of the board in making these, and the administration, in making these things happen. We are steering a $40 million ship with 300 plus employees and 1,600 students and all the, I'm going to call them customers, the families of those students. This is a massive operation. It's been underfunded by the state for 10 plus years. And to move, in effect, on a dime, and, and furthermore, to try to understand what we can and cannot do, it's been a massive undertaking. There are board members who are doing this full time because we simply don't have the resources. And we have a very, very capable superintendent, and the board is listening. And I want to say I was proven wrong. I didn't want to have hybrid meetings, not because I'm trying to squelch public comment. I just thought it's hard enough to run a meeting in general. This is like the 3rd time in the 3rd way we've run the public meeting hybrid, because it took a lot of trial and error and isn't so simple. And the board said, virtually the whole board said, let's do it hybrid. And we would not have had a quorum at this meeting tonight if we didn't run it hybrid. So I want to thank my fellow board members for pushing me, and I realized I was wrong, and I now know for sure I was wrong. So we need to kind of move on. Now, as to your questions, the dashboard, I can just comment. I read that dashboard every day. That dashboard and some other dashboards have all of the data on where the district and where the county and where the state and where the country are going. And we found that many parents, as the teachers, who had these very, very low numbers, until they had to give us the numbers because the governor insisted on it. And so we had to get those numbers, who's vaccinated and who isn't. And we had these dismal numbers until, taking the teachers as an example, you have to give us your vaccination card or you get tested. And 93% of the teachers now have given, and probably is more by now, given us the vaccination cards. So to take the number of parents who've given us their cards, and there were some hiccups, we know that in doing that. The vaccination cards go to the nurses in the middle school and the high school, for the record. So those cards have not come in. Parents haven't gotten around to it. Parents sent it to the wrong place. Someone gave them a wrong answer, whatever. We have not gotten so many cards. But if you go to the dashboard, the state standard dashboard, just go COVID-19 New Jersey dashboard. You'll get to the dashboard, and the first tab on that is vaccination level. 2 weeks ago, they added 12 to 17, maybe 3 weeks ago. 12 to 17 in Highland Park is showing 71% fully vaccinated. Maybe they're lying, maybe they're not paying attention, maybe they're not giving the right numbers. The rest of the numbers look pretty good. They even match up with the New York Times numbers. So that's the number we gave out. I don't know the number. Perhaps Christina knows the number of people who've handed their cards in, but that's not the right number.
Hey, Mark, I think you misunderstood what Rob meant. Rob meant the dashboard, the spreadsheet that Christina put together.
That was
in individual buildings.
No, that was the second question. The first question was, what was the number of people, I believe Rob asked, what was the number of people of students who've been vaccinated, to our knowledge.
Right, I mean, in our building,
Yeah, yeah.
in our district.
In our district. And the number the state is giving us is 71%.
Right, but that's all of Highland Park. That's private school kids, that's whoever. That's not, that doesn't necessarily correspond to kids in our buildings who've turned in proof.
So for students in our building, we're probably at around 51, 52% for the high school and about 48% for the middle school, of eligible students in the middle school.
I apologize for going on and on. We had the number. I apologize,
It's okay.
Christina. The other question.
And actually, I had the same question as Rob, because I got those same two letters. So that, that same week that Rob had identified, I saw the same thing. Like, wait, I know that there was more than one case in high school that week, because I got a letter on Friday and I got a letter on Monday. So, yeah.
So it goes by week, so if it's something on a Friday, anything up through Saturday goes in that same week, and then anything Sunday through that following Saturday goes on the following week. But I report based on what is given, so the school administration or nurses, depending on who is managing the contact tracing, sends me a spreadsheet because I have to report the information to the New Jersey Department of Health. So those spreadsheets come to me, and they have to provide some information about the positive case, student or staff, and then close contacts, and then what is the result of those close contacts? Are they quarantining? How are they vaccinated? So it's a comprehensive spreadsheet. That information is sent to the New Jersey Department of Health, and then I update my dashboard or the district's dashboard according to that information. So if there are more known close contacts, then they're just not being reported to me. I did reach out after I saw an email about that, and what I got was confirmed. I think that, from my understanding from the principals and the school nurses, is that the letter is sort of default sent to a class just to alert people, because there might be people that really aren't close contact, meaning unmasked within 6 feet for 15 minutes or more, but giving people the communication that there was a case in the class or something like that, so that people can make appropriate self-choices. So it's not a district mandated quarantine versus we're just giving you the information. That is my understanding.
So the close contact is not just anybody who gets the letter. The close contact is in contact with that student unmasked for 15 minutes.
Correct.
What's happening in the classrooms, because they're fully masked and et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
I mean, I have to say, as a parent who did, like Rob, got 2 of those letters, it's kind of nerve-wracking, right? But it was, now that we're a week out from that, I had my child, had 2 PCR tests, both were negative with, the 5-day window from the exposures, no symptoms, whatever. It was very reassuring to know that what we're doing in the building seems to be working, right? If the kids are wearing their masks, even if they're in a classroom with a kid who is positive, the kids in the class can be safe and be negative.
Correct.
Okay. All right, Christina, thank you. Yep. Is it worth revisiting the letter with the principals so it's more clear?
Yeah, so that's on our leadership team meeting for tomorrow to discuss that, because we updated it with some information regarding where you can find the free testing for PCR, and in addition, like I said in my presentation, once the rapid antigen tests are packaged in their kits, because they don't come in a nice little box from the store, right. That would be part of the letter as well. We just haven't included that because we're not there yet. So there will be updates to the letter, but I can definitely work with the leadership team to better communicate so that
there is a difference.
It's a difference
clearly.
Between alerting you that this has happened versus actually being a close contact.
Correct.
It is just to defend the school administrators and nurses that do their normal job, in addition to spending countless hours contact tracing.
Right.
It becomes difficult for the communication in terms of letters, custom letters, who's getting the letter, sending it out, and all of that. So I understand the point, and it can be scary to receive that letter in the event that it, and what might not, what be reported on the dashboard. But at the same time, it is, we don't have anybody that's doing this as a full-time job.
Yep.
So I just wanted to defend them because they are working exceptionally hard.
We know, I mean, I should tell the community, the nurses and the administrators are all doing just many, forget what board members are doing. These folks are doing huge amounts of extra work and deserve tremendous praise for this. So it's very, very hard. There's been articles about the difficulty now in keeping or finding school nurses because the job has become so difficult. So you don't need to defend them. They're really...
And, and just from the parent end too, I mean, when I got the letter on, late on a Friday and responded, my response was, I understand this is late on a Friday and but Jamie still got back to me like almost immediately, as did Mike. I mean, everybody is absolutely 100% going above and beyond. And this is an unprecedentedly stressful time for teachers and administrators and good Lord, the course for school nurses. And, thank goodness years ago the board had the foresight to have a middle school nurse and a high school nurse where we used to share a nurse. Can you even imagine in this climate to be sharing one nurse between two buildings? I mean, with a nurse in each building, they're overwhelmed. I can't even imagine, a shared nurse in, under these circumstances. So yes, I mean, I also want to, give many thanks to the administrators and the nurses for, going above and beyond and doing their best for our students and staff, right? I mean, they're in charge of all of that, thank you.
If I could make one comment about the communications. When Dr. Scott said that members of the public hadn't heard that the meeting had changed, at first I thought, well, I got like 6 emails, but then I did remember that some of them were in the old traditional form, please see attached, and then there'd be a PDF. So if we could just make clear, that we need to have a consistent practice of putting the plain text in the message.
Yeah, I just want to say that normally I'm the one that sends out the email with the agenda, but my secretary, and she had the support of another secretary, were doing that for me because I was inundated with numerous legal things that needed my immediate attention. But with board agenda, you can't copy and paste the text in there because it's about 105-page document.
I didn't mean the board agenda. Actually, there are a number of emails that went out. Just note the time of the board meeting has changed. Note the time of the board meeting has changed. But what some of them said was, see attached for time of board meeting. These were not like, here's the agenda. These were...
Yeah, so it was a funky situation, but we'll make sure the communication is better in the future.
Awesome, yeah.
I'll take some credit for that. We changed the time twice, and I was trying to accommodate board members who couldn't come. It was a difficult, unusual time. So Rob Scott, you have your hand up again. So please
Yeah, I just want to point out that clarity on what constitutes a close contact is really important. So the definition of close contact that is given on the district dashboard is someone who was within 15 feet, right? Or within 6 feet.
6 feet.
For 15 minutes.
Right.
And it does not mean that they were not wearing a mask. It was masked within 6 feet for 15 minutes. That's the definition given on the dashboard. That is also the exact definition that was in the close contact letter that I got. So based upon that, right, and based upon what Dr. Nicosia said about when the posting was, my daughter's close contact that occurred on the Thursday before the Friday I got the letter, she would be one of the 4 close contacts reported for that week. But we also know that Darcy, who's here, was one of those, and then there's my daughter's other friend, and there are many other people. So there were clearly more people who got, and right.
We are going to fix that.
Yeah.
Our administration will fix that.
Yeah.
So it just needs to be clear, and it needs to be clear in a way so that parents, everyone needs to still take this seriously, right? Because if my kid, vaccinated or not, is in a classroom for a whole class period with someone who's tested positive, we need to know that. If the building nurse or principal is using a different criteria in terms of what they're calling a close contact on the dashboard, that needs to be really, really clear so that when people in the public, and it may not just be like, people who have kids, check that it is meaningful and we actually understand what it is.
We are taking it very seriously. The administration is, the board is, and we will get it, we will make it better. So thank you. Any other speakers? Okay, we have a world record COVID-19 school board meeting, which has only lasted till 8:18. I will move to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And see you next month. Happy Halloween, everybody.